Luke Thomas in Washington, D.C. at the Cleveland Clinic Brain Study Presser next to Paulie Malignaggi. Paulie, thank you for your time today. You actually said something I thought was really interesting during your comments in the press conference, talking about the need for year-round drug testing in boxing. So we come from the MMA world. I cover a little bit of boxing too, but you know that UFC just instituted the USADA. So what is your impression about that?
I think it's very important. I think it's a great move by the UFC to do that. You know, I think brain scans, brain testing, the way we're now pushing it, is important to monitor damage. And by monitoring it, you can keep control of it. But if you want to go a long way in avoiding a lot of the brain damage, controlling the doping is also a big thing, you know? And I think any professional sport that you notice when maybe might have not had strict drug testing, doping testing, and then suddenly they have it, you see two things that are very clear. One, a lot of guys start to fail. Two, the statistics start to drop. Records stop getting broken, all this stuff. I feel like boxing has a bigger problem than people realize with this doping stuff. I'm going to give you an example. Weight classes used to matter so much more. Marvin Hagler fought in 8 years as a middleweight world champion. Nobody broke his chops about, hey, you know what, you got to move up in weight. You made too many defenses. We want to see you jump up in weight. Nobody broke his chops. He was a world middleweight champion for 8 years. He fought Mustafa Hamsho twice in that time span because Mustafa Hamsho was the number one contender, lost, worked his way back up the rankings, and Hagler was still the champion. And nobody said, oh, you know what, you already beat this guy, you got to move up. No, they accepted it because it was part, at that time, jumping weight classes was a really serious thing, you know, and not to say he couldn't do it, but, you know, it was a more difficult thing and it was a lot more respected. Now, you're seeing everybody doing it. You're seeing everybody doing it, and it's getting to the point where everybody's even expecting fighters to do it. So, you know, these clean fighters have no shot. You know, they have no shot at making a living and making a career. And so, not only you eliminating the opportunity for people to make a living, you're also making this a much more dangerous sport because this is not cycling. This is not baseball. You know, this is a sport where you're damaging each other. You're hitting each other. As a matter of fact, boxing probably is more striking than MMA because MMA, you allow a lot of ground fighting, a lot of mixed martial arts. You know, you may catch a knee to the head in MMA. It'll split you, so it looks really bloody. But as far as brain damage is concerned, both sports are obviously dangerous and both sports have to be respected. But as far as brain damage is concerned, boxing is only striking. It's all striking for the duration of the fight. So you're getting a lot of that brain damage. So if you don't control the doping, and you're starting to see some weird things happen in boxing where, like I said, weight classes stop mattering, and the demand of the media is becoming ridiculous now because even they don't realize what's going on. As soon as a guy makes a defense or two, they want him to move up in weight. You got to move up in weight now. What do you mean you got to move up in weight? You know what I mean? We used to be pretty dangerous, and it's a thing that was respected a lot more as opposed to now if you don't do it, you lose respect. So the whole evolution of where the sport's going they have to nip it in the bud right now. So you can start to control these things. And I tell you what, you start to random drug test in boxing all year round like they have in the UFC, you'll start to notice that weight class jumping will stop, for starters. And, whoever doesn't stop was going to get caught, you know. So in the UFC with McGregor and Nate Diaz, you know, McGregor is probably seeing all these boxers jumping weight classes, you know. The talk probably hits UFC. Oh, you know what? I can skip this weight class. I'll go to the next weight class. Fought an out-of-shape Nate Diaz. Looked great in round one because the better fighter shows in round one. It's the bigger man will show himself as the fight wears on, though. The physical tenacity of the bigger man, even if he's not as skilled as you, will break you down, will wear you out. And that's exactly what happened. And I remember watching the fight with my friend thinking, and by the way, my friend bet Nate Diaz because he thought the same way I thought. And I thought to myself, look at this. You can clearly see in that first round, he was so much better than Diaz. Just everything. He was so fluid. But the bigger man takes a better shot because he's used to getting hit from bigger guys. And the bigger man will do more damage to you because you're not used to getting hit from bigger guys. And physically, he can also wear you down because conditioning-wise, you know, you're in there, you got choked out. But, you know, a big man's laying on you, he's going to wear you out more. You're not used to that kind of weight laying on you. So there's a reason weight classes mattered. When you're clean, you're dealing with all these intangibles when you're trying to jump weight classes. Doesn't make Conor McGregor a not great fighter. It's a great fighter, but it's just a great clean fighter. You know what I'm saying? You'll love to see that in boxing. I think you'll also see that the weight class jumping will come to an end as well as maybe certain people's careers.
How badly? So we have a guy like in our sport, MMA, Michael Bisping. A number of guys he's lost to, a bunch, all after the fact. If not after his fight, certainly eventually in their career, they all got busted for PEDs. It has badly affected his career. How much do you think PEDs, in terms of your opponents using, has affected your career?
Oh, I think it has. I wouldn't say everybody I've lost to was on PEDs, but I've been suspicious of one or two for sure.
You think you've been like
and not only the guys you directly fight. Here's the thing: how PEDs affect you. They don't affect you just directly by the guy you're fighting. They're also affecting you in that all these guys on PEDs are accomplishing so much more than you. So you get kind of tossed to the side. Your accomplishments suddenly, they're not as important. I remember when I turned pro, winning a world title in 2 or 3 weight classes make you a legitimately top-level fighter. And I've been a pretty high-level fighter. I've won a world title in 2 weight classes, but when you're watching weight classes guys winning 5, 6, 7, 8 weight classes more regularly than you used to, the guy who wins 2 world championships suddenly gets thrown to the back of the bus. So he's like, all right, he's pretty good, but all right, we want to pay attention to this guy instead. So it's not just it affects you directly where you're in the ring with these guys or in the cage with these guys, and that not only they can damage you more, but also they can eliminate your way of making a living by beating you, and then when you get beat, you make less money. But it's also you're getting less headlines. You're being paid attention to a lot less because these other guys who are accomplishing more are doing it. And I think it's in all sports. I really do. I really do think there's a problem in all sports. And when you see the sport itself take hold, take control, and say, we're going to make random drug testing more legal, more strict. Once you see those sports, like you saw it in cycling, you saw it in baseball, man, you saw that everything right away. You saw either guys starting to fail like crazy, or you saw statistics drop off like crazy.
And the guys got younger because as they aged, they just couldn't keep up anymore.
Exactly, the sports got younger. That's another thing. That's another really big thing. When you start seeing guys, you start see fighters now fighting older and older. Like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you never saw that before. Athletes are athletes. The prime of your life is the prime of your life, and the young guys will eventually supersede you because they have they have the extra testosterone in their body because they're younger. As an older guy, you don't have the testosterone a younger guy has. So you can't have that explosiveness that a younger guy has. You lose it, let alone other things like your reflexes and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? You start to see the sports get younger. Very good point. You know what I mean? Because one thing you're noticing is the guys getting older instead of younger.
A couple more questions for you. Appreciate your time. The McGregor-Diaz rematch appears to be off for now, but let's assume it was still going to happen in July. Who would you favor in that one?
It's hard, man. I tell you what I do. I give Conor McGregor an incredible amount of props for even wanting this, I give Dana White an incredible amount of props for letting him do it because you got such a stud in McGregor. You're letting him go risk himself again, And jumping weight classes in MMA, there's less weight classes in MMA. So jumping a weight class in MMA is 10, 15 pounds as opposed to boxing. Sometimes it's only like 5 to 6 or 7 pounds, So he's really going for it. And again, you see the skills in him, but can he withstand that for 5 rounds against a bigger guy? That's where the question is, and that's where it becomes a real big problem. You see this great little guy can handle himself skill-wise, but as the fight wears on, this is not a street fight. Boxing, mixed martial arts, not a street fight. A street fight, they break it up in 30 seconds. So the little guy sometimes gets the better of the big guy, and then it's over. The little guy won. You don't get that luxury in MMA. You don't get that luxury in boxing. There's rounds. The fight continues, and it continues. So even if you're doing good in the beginning because you're the better fighter, more skilled fighter, if you're the smaller guy, those late rounds become a lot more heavy on you because now, the guy's weight, the guy's punching power, you're slowing down. Well, you got to deal with him leaning on you all over the top of you. It's a lot more difficult to fight a bigger guy in an organized fight because the bigger guy has enough time to where he can wear you down.
Last question. Appreciate your time. You were mentioning weight classes. I think it's sort of appropriate. Amir Khan and Canelo Alvarez. This is a weird fight, is it not? So tell me what you make of it, and then I guess who you like to win. Does Amir Khan have a legitimate path to victory here?
I don't know. Amir never took a great punch out at super lightweight or lightweight or even welterweight. I don't know how he's going to take the punching power Canelo has. Canelo has really big punching power even at junior middleweight, and obviously he's a middleweight now, even though he does the catchweight thing, So I don't know from that perspective. Also, Amir Khan is a good boxer, but he's never been a great defender. He's always been a guy that's gotten hit, enough times in a fight to where he's being hit. And if you do that against a guy with Canelo's power, it's going to be pretty rough. And another thing, the weight classes matter again in that. Khan, he gets hurt. He likes to hold you. He likes to grab a hold of you and try to bide himself time. How are you going to grab a hold of a Canelo? He's so much bigger physically. He can just toss you off like a rag doll and continue to beat on you. So Khan does have one weapon that has given Canelo a lot of trouble, and that's that jab. But he's got to be consistent. A consistent jab has given Canelo a lot of trouble. But are you going to mix it enough and vary it enough to keep Canelo confused? Because it's not just you're mixing the jab, you got to vary the look. That's how Mayweather beat Canelo, changing the look a lot. He's giving you this look, he's giving you this look, he changed the angle. Khan tends to give you one look. It's a great look. You got the hands high guard and he's shooting, but that one look eventually will be honed in on by Canelo. And how is Khan going to adjust to that? Once Canelo starts closing that distance. And that's my my concern for the fight. I think Khan is a very skilled guy. I just don't know that he has the size to handle Canelo.
Paulie Malignaggi, always appreciate your insights and thank you for your time.
Thank you.